I didn't see your message about being in New York until weeks later. I would have definitely called you up.
Oh, really? That's
yeah.
nice. I just assumed, considering the last time we talked, you said, I hate you, Mathew Kumar. I thought, probably, I'll just leave him to it.
Welcome back, Mr. Hero. This is episode 278 of Insert Credit, the only video game podcast featuring a panel of horrible experts addressing curated topics to a video game buzzer. On March 27th, 2023, the video game company Nintendo will be ending support and closing the digital storefront for their 2011 mobile video gaming device, the Nintendo 3DS.
Or the 3DS.
With 2 weeks remaining, Insert Credit is delivering on its long-held promise to host a larger discussion on the console's legacy and peculiarities, as well as the highlights of its catalog you may want to download before it's too late. We'll be relaxing the usual format this week to discuss the device in the first half of the episode, before making our list of the best 3DS games in our second half. I'm Alex Jaffe, and the first time I saw a 3DS in action was at the New York City Nintendo World Store, playing a demo of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Oh, well, I'm Tim Rogers, and the first time I saw a Nintendo 3DS, it was chained to a girl.
Yeah.
It was chained to a girl with a reinforced, tightly braided metal cord. It just shackled to her with some sort of prison contraption, like belt of a sort that had like metal straps that went over her shoulders because she was demoing it live on the stage at Nintendo's E3 show for all of the journos. We can't call them journalists, we have to call them journos. Journo implies journalist-esque, which described me at the time.
Journalist adjacent, yeah.
An aspiring indie video game developer and a dejected former AAA video game developer posing as a man who may or may not write a blog. You better believe they're going to chain that thing to that girl, you know? You better believe they're going to hold it down with something ballistic, right? So there was just a parade of women on the stage with 3DSs chained to them. And you could play the 3DS and marvel at the glasses-free 3D. And I made the joke several times. I'm wearing glasses anyway. It's not glasses-free for me.
Hey,
right? And to which the girls politely laughed. One was thrown often into a very awkward position in those days, where you're apologizing to a girl for liking video games today, for liking video games right here, you know, and meanwhile you're playing the game and you're like, there really should be some other way for me to interact or not with this person. So 3DS is in summary inextricably linked to difficulties, optometric, and social situations, quite luxuriously awkward. Thank you.
To that girl.
And to that girl. Yeah. It was,
inextricably linked to her.
Because you're standing there and you're like, this is so weird how this girl is being hyper objectified, right? And at the same time, I have to pretend I'm doing a job, right? Or I just wanted to see Reggie speak, you know? Just wanted to see Reggie. Just wanted to be near Reggie, a couple of 100 feet away from Reggie, right? And now it's just like, how are you supposed to be nice or polite to this person? Are you supposed to say, so, this job's pretty weird, huh? No, that makes it worse, you know? So yeah, that's what the 3DS is to me, Jaffe. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Well,
okay.
I'm Brandon Sheffield. I saw the 3DS for the first time the same time that Tim did.
That exact same scenario, yeah.
And I don't recall whether Iwata or Reggie may have held a 3DS up before we saw them chained to a lady.
Oh, they did, yeah. They held them aloft.
So maybe technically the first time I saw it live, like 30 seconds before I saw it chained to a lady, was when one of those guys held it in the air. I have a vision of Iwata doing that, but it might be the DS that he did it with.
I don't count that as seeing a 3DS. I count that as seeing a video game industry legend. who just happened to be holding a 3DS. When I saw the 3DS as an object that was existent to me, that was the lady chain.
Yeah,
So
definitely the lady chain. It was an interesting time. I think we can all kind of agree that the 3DS was no regular DS. Like the DS was kind of a real thing. It was a bit of a revelation, etc. And the 3DS was like, all right.
The 3DS was a what are you doing, man? Sort of moment. You know, no offense to people who love glasses-free 3D.
But I do absolutely 100% miss the form factor of it. I think that it was a real cool thing. And though the 3DS didn't particularly innovate past the DS itself, I would have liked it to continue.
Yeah.
I guess I can speak now?
Yes, you can speak now.
Go for it.
Also joining us this week is insert credits Scottish correspondent Mathew Kumar.
Hey, it's me. Well, we're 3 for 3 here, guys, because I also saw it at the exact same time you guys did.
Yeah.
Were we all there as insert credit, or Matthew, were you there as something else?
I was probably there as Eurogamer.
Eurogamer, maybe?
Or Edge or something. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But what I do remember is, and maybe I'm just more of a mark, but so obviously I think Iwata or someone was talking about the first time, but it was like when the press conference closed, that's the part where the ladies came out with them chained to them, and as everyone's like filing out awkwardly, some of them are there for you to quickly hold it and look at it.
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe I'm a mark, but there's a few moments, in game history where I remember being like, oh wow, I that's impressive to me. And one of them is always seeing Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. For some reason, I was like, holy shit, look at these graphics. And with 3DS, I think because like up to that point, any 3D I'd ever experienced was like as uncomfortable as hell. Now, not to go ahead and say that at length looking at 3D in the 3DS is not uncomfortable, even the new one. But I remember seeing it and being like, yeah, shit, that looks 3D without me wearing glasses. I remember being kind of impressed by it.
Yeah.
It did function.
Yeah, it functioned. Like I did not expect it to function, especially considering like prior to that, my experience with the Wii, I have memories of this, is how much they talked up how that Wii remote was going to work. And then you realized that the original version of it is just an accelerometer and like a pointer. So it doesn't the original version did not sense its position in 3D space, but everybody sort of believed it was going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the demos they showed made it like, they kind of lied a little bit with the live action demos that they had on the Wii commercial they showed at the reveal. It's like making you think it literally is this genius device that knows exactly what you're doing with it. Guy hiding behind the sofa in the shooting game in the very first demo reel. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
They made a lot of promises that they couldn't keep, and the 3DS was very, very impactful for being exactly what they said it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. It did what they said it did.
Mm-hmm.
They owed us a device that did exactly what it said it did at that point, right? They kind of did. So, thanks, Nintendo. I mean, we should really be thanking Reggie, I think.
Thanks, Reggie.
I think it was all his idea.
Reggie.
I had a Wii U for 4 years, and I didn't get no degree.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
Very good. Very good joke.
Better make sure and turn that on and off every once in a while, Jaffe, if you still have your Wii U. Because apparently it bricks itself if you don't turn it off. Turn it on
really?
every 4 years or something.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I've heard that about the Switch. You got to do it every 6 months. So, let's talk about how the 3DS hardware was used. Other than showing you that it had that kind of shoebox style 3D, what games came out for this thing that actually did something with it that it couldn't have done on just a regular old 2DS?
Oh, I don't know, none of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were cool games on it. Like, people like the Sega 3D games, the the 3D
Sega 3D Ages.
3D Ages, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful collection of games there.
But I don't know. It doesn't. Unfortunately, it never mattered to me. I checked out the 3D and then I turned it off and then I kept it off for the rest of the duration of playing games on this console, which I did for. I mean, I'm still playing my 3DS every day after lunch. I play like 3 or 4 rounds of Picross as a little treat for myself before I get back to work. And the 3DS is the best place to do that, so I'm still using it. So to me, it doesn't really matter that the 3D wasn't that exciting and didn't do that much for me. But I'm a notorious 3D hater. The 3D movies, I'll look at them and then after I've looked at him, I will feel that I've looked at him, and that's pretty much it.
It's just that spoken like a guy who hasn't seen Avatar 2.
I have not seen Avatar 2.
I watched
was about
Avatar.
to
I watched
caveat that.
Avatar 2 in it's 60 FPS or whatever, but not 3D. Still great. I would just say.
Oh, weird. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, the 3D was just melted my brain. I saw it on the biggest IMAX screen in the country. It's a shame that it just can't be in residence at that screen, and instead they got stupid Ant-Man on there. Like, come on. Nobody wants to watch that at all, much less on the best screen in the world, right?
I watched it. It was fine.
I think you should legally have to watch Ant-Man on an iPod Nano.
The back of a chair on a plane is an acceptable place to watch Ant-Man 2.
Yeah,
I suppose.
but not Ant-Man 1.
Back to the 3DS though.
It's actually Ant-Man 3, by the way, this one.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
really?
I don't like knowing that, but there it is.
All right, well, fair enough.
Okay, but back to the 3DS.
If you like.
The thing about 3D is though, and it's why I don't bother to see movies in 3D anymore, is that after about 2 or 3 minutes of you going, that's in 3D, your brain just shuts off paying attention to it. You just
Yeah.
don't pay attention to it anymore.
Yeah.
Like as much as I actually love the 3DS, like I love it. It's such a weird system with so many weird games on it. The 3D itself is not the standout thing about it for me. The only games that I would really go to bat for as being like, oh, you should play them in 3D for as long as your eyes can handle, is definitely those Sega 3D classics, because
Oh yeah.
they actually do take things like Hang On, Outrun, and Space Harrier, I think very specifically, and make them like sort of like different somehow, because you get those beautiful flat images, flying.
Yeah. Pseudo 3D billboards.
Yeah, 3D billboards. Yeah, that's what they're called. And it just it feels great for some reason. Like I don't know what it is about them specifically. Like they're like the number one thing that you should buy on the 3DS if you're getting one, because like they just really do make you look at the games differently.
Not me, but I understand they make some people look at them differently.
It's fun to have.
It's fun to have. I mean, I got them, of course. I'm no Philistine. I do have them. But I actually don't. I don't currently have a working 3DS with 3D on it. I only have a 2DS.
2DS.
Yeah.
First of all, can we reflect on how hilarious it is
It
that
is very
Nintendo
funny.
later released a thing
Yes.
called the 2DS?
Absolutely.
And can we actually just go ahead and say the original 2DS, not hating on it? My dog is yelling, and you're just going to have to deal with it. He's going to yell for a couple minutes. Can we just go ahead and admit, not hating on our friends who may have children, right? Can we just admit that can we declare the original 2DS is maybe the ugliest major video game console ever made? I think it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen that's released by one of the bigger video game companies.
You're talking about the Wedge one?
Yeah, the weird wedge tablet.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
that's gross.
Like, it doesn't even have any branding, like, on the back of it. And, if you're getting me to complain about something not having branding on it, that's, you messed up. It's like the back of it just has, like, the customer service phone number, and, like, it looks so barren on the back and
It's a bit
weird.
of a leapfrog-ish device.
Yeah, it's a really strange thing. The fact that they saw fit to release that, very funny. And then the fact that they released an enhanced version of that, the new 2DS, and then the new 2DS XL.
Yeah.
Very funny.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the naming structure in general, because it feels like uncharacteristic for Nintendo. They kind of let the branding slide, because obviously Nintendo DS is Nintendo dual screen.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo 3DS is Nintendo 3D screen.
3D screen.
Which is a little silly. And then Nintendo 2DS is Nintendo 2D screen, which is like,
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, this was all like the warning signs were all there that they were going to release something called the Wii U. Again, that didn't even let you earn a college degree, right?
Yeah,
That they were going to release one of those eventually in the future. The warning signs were there that Nintendo might just not know how to name stuff, like, at all. And then you look at it and you're like, Famicom is like, that was a shot in the dark sort of name that just turns out to be cool later, right? They got lucky. Nintendo's been getting lucky for years, is basically what the DS, 3DS, 2DS, new 2DS, XL, like what all of that revealed. First of all, how many 3DSs do all of us own? I own 3 3DSs. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I have a 3DS XL, and it's pink, and I bought it for Animal Crossing. and I had not owned a 3DS prior to that because the 3DS was too small. I had an optometrically infuriating time trying to look at the screen, which I have mentioned before on this podcast, only to be called a hater by the listeners. I'm not a hater because I can't goddarn see it, okay? So I was only...
It doesn't sound like something the listeners would say. Yeah. That's a fake listener, if you ask me.
Oh, well,
Tim, I want to thank you for restraining yourself for 15 whole minutes into this episode before bringing up the eye strain. It's commendable.
Well, no, I mean, it's obviously my number one memory of the 3DS is looking at it and being like, I can't see this thing. So, the flashback to that moment where I check out the 3DS chained to a goyle, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't goddarn see it. It was so small. I'm bending forward. I'm craning my neck. I'm feeling like the universe's biggest weirdo. And I'm like, I can't see this thing. The screens were just too small. They weren't Game Boy Micro small. They were just too small. I ended up not able to look at one for more than 10, 15 seconds because I was working at Other Ocean at the time it came out. Emeryville, California, the pride of Emeryville, California. I was working there and everybody there went to Best Buy and picked up their 3DSs except me. And I took a look at Steel Diver. I took a look at everything. And I was just like, man, this is cool, but I can't goddarn see this. I couldn't goddarn look at that thing for more than a couple minutes. And I eventually played through Super Mario 3D World on it, which I think was pretty good 3D. I borrowed one from a friend. But I never bought my own until the XL came out, where I was like, all right, it's time now. Pixel density, much worse, but the screen is bigger.
Yeah, you got one of those Animal Crossingses, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't get the Animal Crossing one. I got just a regular old pink one.
Oh, okay.
And then later in Japan, I bought the new 3DS, which hilariously was not compatible, was not region free, which was interesting. So, was the original 3DS region free?
No, it was not. None
of
the.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
The DS was, 3DS was not.
DS definitely was, dude. The best game of all time for the DS was the R4. I think we can all agree.
Oh yeah.
I got a new 3DS in Japan because they didn't have the new 3DS in the small size in America when it first came out. They only had the XL. So I hilariously wanted the smaller one because it was just big enough for me to see sort of comfortably. And I wanted to play Dragon Quest VII and Dragon Quest VIII on it. And I loved Dragon Quest VII on it. And I did not like Dragon Quest VIII on it. And then my third 3DS that I acquired was the Dragon Quest XI Special Edition 2DS XL with a metal slime design on it, which is still one of my pride. That's how I play the majority of my 3DS games today. Thank you. So I own 3 3DSs. That's them.
So I've got, let's see, I actually only have 2 3Ds. I have one 2DS, which it's got like a big gash on the front of it, but whatever. I got it cheap, and this was during a peak no money time, so I sold my original 3DS in part to pay for this one. And then I later got a 3DS XL. I'm not sure if it's a new 3DS that had some power issue that is currently in the shop, which I'll find out more about later. And but I've also got a DSi and also the latest small clamshell regular DS. Also, speaking of the naming convention, what is the I in DSi for? Is it internet?
I think so.
I think it's I for iPhone. That's a joke because they just wish they were the iPhone.
Really, what it is.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a joke.
Yeah, they were chasing that dream for a while.
I think it's because the DSi is the first one that is connected to the internet, right? Because that's the first one you could download games. Because DSiWare, the original DS had nothing like that. You only had PictoChat.
Right.
Yeah.
My 3DS, so I actually only have one. I still have a DSi, a black DSi. I had original 3DS XL, the pink one, which I got for Animal Crossing like everyone else. But I sold that one and I replaced it with a new 3DS, normal size, but the one with the changeable plates.
Yeah.
And I went to extra effort to get the Chiari Pamu plates.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Which to me is just, to be honest, is my favorite looking systems that I have. I just think it's excellent.
Did you get the Super Famicom button colored?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, me too. I got like a candy stripe pink faceplate that's like matte. It's really nice looking.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say though is that like I feel like an idiot for not having more than one because the prices of everything 3DS related
It's
are
wild.
absolutely deranged right now. If you want to
It's gone
buy
bonkers.
basically the most destroyed 3DS from any game store or eBay, they're like $300 plus,
Yeah.
and all the physical games are going just insane prices. And some games are only available physically. Like I bought Shinobi 3D secondhand recently, even though I'm not that interested in it, because I was like, oh, you can only get this game. So I might as well buy it now.
Yeah,
It's only going to get more expensive.
It's
Yeah.
real weird out there. Like when I look at my physical game library, I've got like about 5-6 million DS games, and then I have like, I don't know, 12 3DS games physically, because most of them I downloaded or whatever. And it's weird. It like to look at the physical collection, you would think that I didn't play the 3DS that much. But when I open this guy up and you hear the little click of me opening it up here, I got like 100-something Vig games on this thing.
There's a lot of them on there.
I mean, everyone should hack their 3DS at this point. I think we can say that. I haven't done it yet, but that's probably what you should do. And there's like the H shop, which will continue after the E shop closes. We won't get too far into that, but Nintendo's getting rid of it. So
I mean, I have to agree with that simply because it's sort of ridiculous that Nintendo have shown an interest in like maybe helping people get some of those games that you will not be able to play in any other way on the system. Like it is absurd to me that because I unfortunately my 3DS, like unlike my Switch, is actually Canadian region, so you can't change your region in 3DS. So if I wanted to buy Picross 3D 2 or Dillon's not Dillon's Rolling Western, Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers, both of which are eShop only on the 3DS, they are like $53 each, which is like insane. That's just deranged. You should just steal it at that point because like, fuck them. Like,
and Nintendo has it is somewhat telling to me that during the denouement of the eShop, you got who's doing discounts? Capcom, Circle Entertainment, Kemco, Renegade Kid, and various other groups, but not Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm looking at the eShop right now.
They're not discounting any of their stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and another unfortunate thing, and this has nothing to do with physical games, is that Tim, I don't know if you know this. There are a fair number of, or at least one important of the number of the guild games, level 5's guild games, which we are going to be talking about very soon, is delisted. Kokuga is delisted.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy it.
Wow. They didn't even wait.
No. So, and that I don't know when it was delisted. It was delisted at some point in the past. And so, like, at this point, it's probably time to start stealing.
To hack, yeah, I 100%, you don't want to officially endorse it. I'm going to say it. They don't want you to have it, man.
No.
You should just steal the goddarn stuff.
No,
like,
Frank Cifaldi, the video game pope, already gave us permission to steal.
He'd say steal it. So the one to get is the new Nintendo 3DS XL, apparently, is the one to get, right?
Yeah, because then you'll have 3D.
I mean, I do like the pixel density better on the smaller one.
On the smaller one, yeah.
Like that top screen of the 3DS has always been slightly weird. It has a grainy quality to it because of the 3D, and I find it worse on the larger system. I would buy a larger system if I'm ever in Japan again and stumble upon a hard off that has one for like less than $300. I will probably buy a second one quite happily. But I would say that whichever one you can get at this point for less than $300, get that one. That's basically what it comes down to.
Oh, and also just a little thing before I forget to talk about it is that one game you should definitely download is the popular game called Save Data Transfer Tool.
Oh God, yeah.
Because that's one that if you like Mathew Kumar think that maybe someday I'll get another one of these, you're probably gonna want that. So get yourself that free download from the and also check all your video games for DLC. Because there's a lot of DLC out there that is exclusive to 3DS, at least currently. I don't know if the the Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. I don't know if the case that you can download as DLC is available elsewhere, but certainly you got to try to get it on your DS. All the Etrians have a whole bunch of downloadable stuff. All the Atlas games in general as well. So that's going to be kind of my final tour on the eShop, is loading up my games and seeing what DLC I need to get that's beyond cosmetic, so that before, because all that stuff's going to go away, all the way away.
So what games on the 3DS do you think we'll never see again? Are there any games here
That's a really that's a fun question, that because it kind of feeds directly into a fun little framing device I was thinking of, which is, we know that Atlas is doing an Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3 remake for the Switch.
Some hope.
They're bringing some of the most beautiful and luxurious, the most beloved of original DS games to the Switch, right? And to Steam and to PlayStation. They're putting them on your TV, right? And they're putting them on a one-screen console. And they very lovingly went through and remade and tweaked all the interfaces, which one could say that Etrian Odyssey made incredibly integrated use of the touchscreen,
for sure,
where you draw on the map and you drag and drop and you write things and you're drawing the map as you play. It was a very fun little and very interlinked sort of way of incorporating that screen. And if a game like that can get remade for a single screen, there is actually some hope, right?
Yeah.
So I think a fun framing device is, what 3DS games would you most like to see remakes of? So it's like the opposite question here. It's like, which games do you think will never get remade, will get locked on the 3DS and forgotten forever, except to people who hack and steal, which everyone should do? And which ones do you think won't?
Yeah, I'm definitely waiting, obviously, for that Shin Megami Tensei 4.
Yeah,
that's gotta happen.
I also think the Persona Q games could get there potentially, like if they just in a pinch need another Persona. But there's so many games, I feel like there's so many DS games that are at this point lost, because when you remake them, the fidelity is so different that you'd have to do a full remake. Whereas 3DS, you can pretty much get away with it still. The graphics are not they're contemporary enough that it's not going to bother you. I think for me, one of the big losses is Picross, because to me, Picross on a touch device with a stylus is the best way, the most fun way to play Picross, personally. You can kind of get something like that on your phone a little bit, but the stylus element is lost. But that's a very small sort of a game that's not that interesting or important. I guess probably the most difficult would be things that need Street Pass, or things that need the AR camera, or things like that. Like Spirit Camera is a game I wanted to bring up. It's not very good, but it's really neat to think about how it could have been good. If you've never played that game, it starts off kind of as a literal walking simulator, because you're walking around beyond your control, and you can just look around by moving your 3DS with the gyro, and then things appear and there's spooky stuff, and then someone comes out of the game into your real world, and now the camera is showing your environment. You're looking at your own background of your living room or whatever, and there's a character there in AR that's talking to you. And then you have this diary, which comes with the manual of the game, and so you then have to sometimes like show your diary to your camera on your 3DS, and then things animate on the page, things come out of the page, you gotta fight monsters that are coming out of it. And it's a neat, weird idea that uses all of the stuff, but I don't think it's worth you could probably make it better in VR or something, maybe, but it's just such a weird, anomalous game that didn't really work but could have.
What you're talking about there is exactly what I kind of love about the 3DS. Now, I would say that the 3DS itself, most of the games on it that like are interesting, you could do on something else, right? Like for the most part, right? But the problem is that really the 3DS era represents kind of like the end of like Nintendo's being interesting or trying weird things to me.
Yeah.
Because I think the Switch is such a sort of by the numbers kind of device, right? Like, and you can see how stagnant the company has been really since the Switch hit, because like they haven't upgraded the hardware in any meaningful way, and everything about using a Switch is like using a fucking Android set-top box. It just, there's no soul to it. And the thing about the 3DS is it was full of weird soul, right? I love the interface of the 3DS. I love Street Pass. Everyone was Street Passing, like, at one point, right? I love that they added more Street Pass games, like, even midway into the life. And then you look at things like Swap Note or Swap Doodle, which was the replacement for that. Like, the whole experience using the 3DS was kind of like sort of like joyful game box thing that was all sort of Nintendo's kind of concept. And I obviously I connected very much with Iwata, but like I think since then there's just been nothing like that. And I don't see why when Nintendo went into the Switch they didn't just carry that stuff wholesale over, because people would continue to love it. Like I honestly don't get it, other than just like corporate people being like, we have no soul and we don't give a shit.
It is weird. You look at the run they had from DS, Wii, 3DS, Wii U, right? Those things were wild.
Yeah, they were trying stuff for sure.
I mean, this is probably the most often cited example, though. Your goddamn Wii Shop music, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even say low key, as the kids would say. It's not even low key. It is one of the best pieces of video game music ever made, probably. And it's
the Weather Channel music.
The Weather Channel as well. That Wii Shop music is just sitting there being like, yeah, we got some of the best tunes ever made. This is up there with the Super Mario Brothers theme song. Like, whatever. It's just for when you look at your Wii games. That's incredible.
This is what Nintendo is. Like, they had a whole extended universe in your mind from just playing that shop music. It was like, they really got this whole thing contained. They really know what they're doing. And then the Switch is it's just there, it's just it's just a game box, but it happens to be the only portable one, and I think that's why it was so successful.
They clearly looked at what everybody else was doing, and they wrote up a roadmap for what they think the average user's expectations are for a console, and somebody must have given a convincing presentation saying maybe we should be a little bit less weird, maybe we should be a little less quirky, maybe we should be a little bit more like these guys. That's probably what happened, and at the very least, I do like the size. I do like the presentation of the Switch home screen. It's just the big, album cover looking.
No, it's good, and as bad as their store is, it is better than the 3DS store.
That's oh my god, yeah. Nintendo loves to make a web interface that kind of brings you back to the computer lab,
Yeah, something that all of you are going to discover as you try to buy your last 3DS games, if you indeed do, is how cumbersome and difficult it is to buy more than one thing.
It's really annoying.
If you're trying to buy like 10 things in a row, it's prepare for an evening is what I would say.
Oh yeah, it's bad, man. On a related note, the laundry machines in the basement of my apartment building here use some Android app to pay for like.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, so I mean, an app that there's like a sticker that's on top of the sticker that says iOS as well, right? So it's like which is very funny. So you can either get a plastic card and charge it at a little pay station in the laundry room, or you can get an app that you scan a QR code and then you buy money. You buy credits on the app, and then you can apply you can only buy them $5 at a time. And then you buy them on the app, and then you can send a request for 10 minutes of dryer or washer to the goddarn dryer, and it takes about I like to dry my clothes from 1 hour and 10 minutes, right? Because it's not just an hour, it's a little more than an hour, right? Makes sense. That requires me to go through 7 full round trip transactions on this app and this QR code. So by the time I walk out of the laundromat area of my apartment building, there's only an hour, usually like 57 minutes left is how long it takes to plug in the 7 requests. And I would still rather hang out washing my clothes than buy a 3DS eShop game. is what I'm saying.
I've just been buying a whole bunch of them before it closes because there's so much stuff on sale. You can get all the Ace Attorneys for $3 each at this point.
Yeah.
Just a lot of wild stuff that you might, and like Ace Attorney, they have done good jobs of bringing those to other platforms, but it is such a DS game in terms of like investigating and poking around and looking at stuff on the bottom and the top, presenting evidence, whatever.
But not if you want to stream them with another person playing with you.
Indeed.
So that's the danger there.
I mean, like everyone, I hate buying games in the 3DS shop, but one of the I think that's one of the things which is still charming at the system. Not that that's boring and annoying. It's that sense that Nintendo hadn't worked out how to be an online console. So that's why there's all this weird shit in it. I think that's genuinely where it comes from, that they were like, what if we did it like this? And it's like, well, you haven't paid attention to what other people are doing. And what this is kind of weird, but you end up with these really weird things that they're just trying, right? Like, I mean, honestly, like these
Street Pass is probably a result of that kind of like, what if this was the internet?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the other example would be things like these could go on my list, but Nintendo Badge Arcade and Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, right? Are Nintendo being like, what's the deal with this microtransactions? And they end up as like these really odd but super lovable products that aren't like I've never felt like I'm enjoying spending money on this, but like, and I never spent money on Badge Arcade, to be fair, because it was overpriced.
You know what this all makes me think of? Yeah. This all makes me think of Miitomo, the iOS app that Nintendo released in like 2016. That was still them kind of trying to figure out what Nintendo Internet was, and I feel like that's kind of the last gasp of this whole period.
Yeah,
where it just kind of petered out into nothing.
Yeah, and you still do stuff like other iOS things, like the Pikmin thing came out, right? Which I didn't even bother to load up, because I was like, this stuff, it's just it's weird, because it went from like, we don't know what we're doing, but let's do our best and put a lot of soul into it, and we don't know what we're doing, here's some bullshit. Like, that's the difference, it feels like.
And
like,
I think the big differentiating factor between those two things is, this might sound stupid, but is the graphical interface and the music. And like, if they still had cute music in the shop, then I might still be like, but they're still trying.
That Nintendo Switch shop needs to not have a goddarn white background, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. That hurts my goddarn head.
Like, Switch drives me crazy, even to the fact that, like, you can have folders now, but they're useless. They don't, like, you can't make your home screen have folders on it. It's only if you go to another menu to then look at your games in folders. Why would anyone do that? Like, that's not the point of folders. Like, I just bought, for, like, $2 all of the Bit Trip games, because I was like, I'll play these. There's 6 Bit Trip games on my homepage now, and I have to play 6 other games to fucking knock them off. No, I put them in a folder. I hate it.
And, they had folders on the 3DS.
Maybe the Super Nintendo Switch will rectify all this. Maybe they'll add some music to the Super Nintendo Switch.
On the 3DS, I can put games in folders and put a cute little sticker on the folder. Why can't I fucking do that?
Yeah. Should we talk about some of the cool games on here?
Yeah, let's do that after we take a quick break. You ever try cauliflower crust pizza, Tim? I just had that.
I don't like it.
Alex Jaffe, I am a nutrition idiot and have been for about 25 years. Yeah, I've tried cauliflower crust pizza just about every Saturday night. That's my reward.
Let me know the brand.
I don't even know the brand. It's some sort of Dr. Bronner's looking branding on the box. I mean, do I like it? No. But it's the closest I get to having fun. If you're looking to get into eating for fitness, the secret is to just keep doing it till you completely forget the other stuff.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then you win.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time for the part of the episode you've all been waiting for. It's time for us to talk about the good games for the 3DS and put them in some kind of order.
Yeah, put them in there.
We're not going to do our draft system. We're just going to kind of do this freestyle and maybe do a lightning round re-ranking at the very end.
Yes.
Yes.
Who would like to go first?
Oh, okay.
Throw a game out, bro.
Shin Megami Tensei IV. Game rules. I've talked about it a bunch on here, so I don't need to talk about it too much more, but Shin Megami Tensei IV is my favorite SMT. Battle system is snappy. The music is fantastic. They constantly say the word samurai, which drives me
Samurai.
insane. I know that's not a good word to use. I'm sorry I shouldn't have said that word, but it gets all the bats out of my belfry. I tell you what, when they say samurai, but it's a really good game. It's the one that made me feel like, choosing different personas and getting the elemental weaknesses of these demons is actually really fun. I heard some people talking about playing it recently, and they said they had a hard time with the early game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember having that issue, but maybe it starts out difficult. But the way I recall it, it's like the first area, everything's weak to wind or whatever, so you just use wind the whole time, and then you level up, and then the next zone, everything's weak to fire, something like that.
It's kind of like Pokemon, where everything's weak to water at the beginning
just
of the
figure
first.
it out,
Yeah,
so.
you figure that out.
Anyway, that game's cool. I would rank it highly on the 3DS.
I would call it number one for now, and also say that I would put this. Also, concurrently, I would put this on the top of my pet list of 3DS games that I would like to see fully remade.
100%.
Remade
Oh, yeah.
enough. I want it to look the same. I don't want it to be dual screen or 3D. I want it to just be on a TV. I would say this is my number one request so far.
I would also say that if you're going to get one Shin Megami Tensei game on the 3DS, probably get that one, because don't get Strange Journey, because it's a huge bollock to play through, and I did not enjoy. So yeah, this is the good one.
Oh, you didn't like Strange Journey? Strange Journey's weird, dude. But it's also a DS game, isn't it?
It was re-released as Strange Journey Redux for the 3DS.
Yeah.
It's been made easier. Some people did give me pelters on Twitter for complaining so much about how hard the 3DS one is, because they're like, actually, it's a lot easier on the DS. But it's like, fuck off, mate, because it's just like one of the most miserable fucking like dungeon designs ever in a game. It's all spinners, it's all teleporters, everything. It's like, it's the least pleasant first-person RPG you could possibly imagine playing.
Don't make me engage with a maze.
But I love the setting, and I'm still pretty sure that Jeff Vandermeer ripped it off for Annihilation, or whatever the book Annihilation is based on is called.
So I would say also, go ahead and remake Strange Journey again. Put it on my TV, right? Why not?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I would buy that if it was on my TV. Maybe they can give it another balance pass, right?
Give me those Xenobite-looking dudes on there.
I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say there's a couple of them Etrian Odysseys on there. Do you remember this?
I do.
There's a couple of those also on the 3DS. I'm not talking about the DS ones. Oh, I'm talking about the 3DS ones. That's
I got 5.
4 and 5.
Is what I have. I have 5 on there.
And there's also remakes of 1 and 2. And the weird thing about the new Switch remasters is they're remaking the DS ones, not the 3DS ones.
Oh,
so
weird.
if you want the story from one, which is like Millennium Girl or something, the first one's called, and the second one's something else. If you want the stories of those, you have to buy them in 3DS. So
that's such bologna.
Heck.
You know what they should do? They should make them DLC.
Yeah, they probably will.
When they make the 4 and 5 remasters.
I don't know if they will, because like the 3DS ones are so like you get a set party and they're very heavily scripted, the story modes, to the point where I actually don't really like them very much, because it's a bit too anime for me. Do you know what I mean? Those story parts rather than hardcore, wizardry style dungeoning. So like it's one of those, if you like that type of thing, you should probably remember and buy them on 3DS, because I'm hoping that Sega will do another sale in the next 2 weeks, right? Because they haven't done one yet, but everyone else has. And if they do,
well, in Japan, Atlas canceled their sale. They had a sale planned for the 3DS eShop, and then they canceled it. They made an announcement that it was canceled due to various circumstances.
They didn't want to deal with people complaining about Nintendo shutting the eShop down in their social media. They want to be associated with something negative.
Yeah, maybe.
Somebody said that it was because they'd already announced the last sale ever for their previous sale in Japan, and the laws of Japan say that you can't say something's the last sale ever and then do another one.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
Because then people who bought it the first time around would be like, hey, you said this is the last time and I bought it, and I could have waited another month to buy it, like, for some fucking reason.
Well, maybe they'll do it here.
They might still do it in the West, which is my fingers crossed hope, because like it'd be really cruel to people to not get access to, the remaining Etrians. I haven't bought the last few Etrians. I haven't bought a couple of other things because I was like, I'll see how much I enjoy Strange Journey, which was not at all, and go back to play some more.
That's like when my dad spent like $800 to see the last Grateful Dead concert, and they just kept touring.
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw the
yeah.
last. I saw the last Black Sabbath tour with Ozzy Osbourne in like 1994. They did a couple more after that. Let me tell you.
A couple.
Lord.
Wait, was it your dad's last time seeing Grateful Dead, though?
Yeah, because he was so upset about the fact that they lied about like having this big crescendo farewell, and then they just.
So in that case, it was the last ever Grateful Dead concert, as far as he's concerned.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how he was not missold.
Your last Grateful Dead concert.
That's right.
That's maybe that's what they said. Maybe that's what they said. They put the poster said your last Grateful Dead concert,
comma Jaffe's dad.
If I saw that poster, I'd be like, that seems very threatening.
Yeah.
What other
They're
games
gonna
we
just
got?
kill the audience. Yeah,
Does somebody want to nominate the Sega Classics collection?
yeah, I love that
Yeah.
Sega Classics collection.
Yeah,
That Sega
3D classics.
It's currently $19.99 on the eShop. So
Yeah, they might lower it.
yeah.
This is another one that's kind of annoying, though, right? Because they did a lot of 3D classics, Sega 3D classics, right? They only released all three like collections in Japan. So here you can only get one collection, which is technically the second collection. And on the first collection, there are improvements to the ones that you can download here. And
Oh,
there
yeah, I
are
forgot
multiple
about that.
games in I think the third collection that you can't get at all outside of Japan. So they like have like a 3D version of Girls Garden and things
Right.
like that. And that's just pretty annoying. But even with that said, the whole collection of them, like the collection you can download and all the extra ones you would buy online if you didn't get those ones, it's if you want to talk about Wii University, this is Sega University,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
They'll give you a degree.
Still, I'd rank it number 2.
We're not ranking yet.
We're ranking later. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to put up the concept of Picross on the 3DS.
I like that.
The 3DS games, the official Jupiter ones, aside from the branded ones like the Pokemon one and the Zelda one, which, by the way, if you want to do, you should just steal it. But if you want to do the work of getting the Zelda one, you have to like get all these Club Nintendo points and redeem it in the back end. And I don't know if you can even do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it anymore. I think they've actually removed that from the shop, like the 3DS.
I got it
I think
the
you can
real
only
way.
get Flipnote Studio through that way as well, I think. So yeah, they really fucked everyone on this.
The official Jupiter ones that are just Picross are all called Picross E, Picross E2, and so it's a real joy for a certain kind of a person when you get to Picross E3 and you just play through Picross E3, and it's like, yeah. And every time I do that, I think about it being chained to a lady at E3 that first time that we saw.
Picross E3.
Let's see. I'm gonna throw out. So I don't know how we should break down the level 5 guild games. I guess we should do them individually, but the whole guild series is cool. You got your Kokuga.
Love that game. It's made by.
I don't think Kokuga is one of the guild games. Is it?
I thought it was.
I don't think it is.
No?
It's not. No, it's
Okay.
not.
It's just a good one. It's one of the
It
good
just came
games.
out around the same time.
Yeah, the guild games are. Let's look them up.
Attack of the Friday Monsters, Liberation
Starship
Maiden.
Dam Ray, Bugs vs. Tanks, Attack of the Friday Monster, Crimson Shroud, Weapon Shop Day, Omase, Liberation Maiden, Guild 01. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's
Because there's 01 and 02, and the first 4 were, as Tim shot through, Liberation Maiden, Aeroporter, Crimson Shroud, and Weapon Shop Deomas, which didn't come out in the West until much later for some reason because there was so much text. Attack of the Friday Monsters, Bugs v Tanks, and Starship Dam Ray is Guild 02.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I got all those. You should get all those.
I've got them all as well, but I would say that the only one that I think is genuinely good is Attack of the Friday Monsters.
Same. That's my favorite.
I like that
I think
game.
Attack of the Friday Monsters is a classic video game that I like a lot.
Yeah, I'd put that one up for ranking.
Yeah, I mean that's probably one of my favorite 3DS games. Like, it's a beautiful bite-size little story. I mean, obviously, Tim, you can talk in more detail about it, I'm sure, because you did all that work on Boku no Natsuyasumi.
Boku no Natsuyasumi, yeah. It's made by the people who made Boku no Natsuyasumi. It's a Boku no Natsuyasumi quality video game that strives to appeal even more to its target audience by incorporating some elements, some curious elements of your your monster movies and monster TV shows, right? Your tokusatsu stuff is implemented in there, in addition to the nostalgia for that particular era. Boy in a yellow shirt. If I were Kaz Ayabe, I'd change the name of my company from Millennium Kitchen, which is still wonderful, to Yellow Shirt Video Games. That's my marketing advice. Good joke. It is just a wonderful little game.
Yeah, and it's short, and you can play it in a summer's afternoon, and it's which I did. I played it during a summer.
Makes a wonderful case for movie length video games,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Boku no Natsuyasumi games are pretty short, but they so strongly encourage multiple playthroughs. There's kind of a freeing aspect of this Attack of the Friday Monsters for feeling like something you really only need to play once, which I'll admit I've played it once,
Yeah, same. But I've been thinking about doing it again now that it's been 10 years or something. Might as well give it another go. Maybe I've forgotten enough.
So this is one that really does need to be on my TV screen as well, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it deserves to be on my TV screen.
100%.
And also, I hope they release an English version of that new game they're making.
I'm going to throw out another thing here, which is I don't need to rank or anything, but there's a DSiWare game called Soul of Darkness from Gameloft. This is a port to the DS and 3DS of a feature phone mobile game, and it's basically a Castlevania clone that fits somewhere between the Igavanias and the traditional Castlevanias. It's a little more level based, but there's still some Vania, some Metroidy, whatever, some eagerness to it. And it runs at about 15 frames per second, but
good old frames.
It's got floaty jumps. There's a lot of things that I traditionally do not like very much, but there's something about it. You just get in there and you're like, oh, I'm playing a Zelda. I think a Zelda, a Castlevania. I think it's
eager to please.
Yeah, it's eager to please. I think for me, the real moment is you're killing enemies, you're picking up gems all the time, so it's got that real loot element. And then within about 30 seconds of starting it, you have to chop down a chandelier that falls on some enemies and kills them, and it just makes you think, oh, okay. They're trying to do a couple things, they got some interactive backgrounds, and that just sort of pulled me through the whole experience. It's very straightforward. It's easy. It's just a nice, if you want to just have a pleasant Igavania experience, check out Soul of Darkness, DSiWare. I'm not going to rank that though.
Soul of Darkness. Well, I'm going to bring up a couple of games that I think would be worth ranking. There's just two of them. Let's get them out of the way. Number one is god darn Super Mario 3D Land.
Yeah, I love that game.
Released on November 13th, 2011. This was the first 3DS game I wanted to play, and I actually borrowed a 3DS from someone so I could play it. And I played all the way through it. I bought the game, played through it, gave the 3DS back, said thanks. Really just what a wonderful video game. I think it's my favorite 3D Mario game ever made. Now, when Super Mario 3D World came out, which was on November 22nd, 2013, a little over 2 years later, on the Nintendo Wii U. When Super Mario 3D World came out, everybody and their brother and their sister just showed their ignorance on social media and whatnot. They just showed that they hadn't played the 3DS one by talking about how great and innovative it is. Nobody talked about how the 3DS one was better. The Wii U Super Mario 3D World is... it was beautiful to have that on your TV in 1080p 60 FPS when it came out. Beautiful game, whatever. The co-op, hilarious. But it really is just kind of a bloated, massive, kind of just lumbering experience of a game.
Yeah.
Whereas Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS
much
is...
tighter level design.
Yeah.
There's just kind of a meandering, empty Super Mario 64 quality to the 3D World
3D
levels.
World, yeah. Because they they scaled everything up because they had, we got to accommodate for 4 players. And it's fair enough, right? But there's something about the, we ain't accommodating for nobody but the one weird idiot going cross-eyed looking at this 3DS, right? Which was me. I had such a headache looking at that thing.
3D Land is a real Super Mario Brothers 3 of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept the 3D on for like most of the game too, which is like saying something because it was pain. Like when you get Tanuki Mario and you do like a float, they make you jump off of a cliff and you're like floating down, landing on platforms from one level. They knew what they were doing with that one game there. And it's just, yeah, a real Super Mario Brothers 3 of a game. I love it.
I'll actually be super positive about it as well, actually. It's one
Nice.
of the rare games I would say for the 3DS, which like the 3D makes a lot of sense simply because it's such a kind of like a diorama, like a really, every level is set up like a little diorama that you look into. I think the game is too easy for too long, but once you get to like sort of like the sort of second chunk of levels, because there's like it's 2 discrete chunks to the game. The second chunk are very fun, and I think I would probably go with you. It's kind of to me, it's the platonic ideal of what 3D Mario would be, what you imagined it was. If you only played the 2D ones.
That last Bowser level is so good.
Oh yeah. All the whole final crescendo of levels is phenomenal in Super Mario 3D Land. It is just a really, really brilliantly put together little video game, and it's a shame that 3D World is now like the de facto existing version of it. So 3D World has some of the same level design architecture in places, but it adds too much stuff like the cat suit and whatnot, and it kind of stretches and pads, and it becomes more of a still a fun time to have with a friend or two. Not 3 though; that's too many people. It's still a pretty fun game, but it's just there's too much of it. And it was released on Wii U, and then they made the Switch version, which of course I bought because it's it's the best I'm gonna get. Feels like Super Mario 3D Land in its exact state that it was born is ultra essential 3DS video game. It is an essential 3DS video game. I don't think it's ever going to be represented or preserved anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm guessing your second game is the one that I most want ported to another console.
Yeah. I mean, I'll shout it loud right after this. In fact, it came out on maybe the best day in Nintendo history, which was November 22nd, 2013, the same day as Super Mario 3D World. I can't tell you what it was like as a lifelong Nintendo big boy to walk into GameStop and buy a new Mario, and a new Zelda on the same day. Very strange experience. There was the new Mario for the Nintendo Wii U, Super Mario 3D World, and the new Zelda for the 3DS, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, right? That's your game, right?
Esper, you can edit in land every time Tim says world, right?
World, land. Wait, I just said Super Mario 3D World came out on the same day as Zelda: Link Between Worlds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Super Mario 3D World for the Nintendo
2 worlds
Wii U.
at the same time. Okay.
Yeah. I know my stuff here, all right.
Fair enough.
So
right. I retract my joke.
Yeah, so Super Mario 3D World and Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds came out on the same day. I bought 2 worlds, bought 2, it would be actually 3 worlds because Zelda's a link between 2 worlds.
That's true.
I bought Zelda's 2 worlds and Mario's 3 D worlds.
5 worlds.
That's a lot of worlds for a little over $100, and I went home, big boy style in my Mazda 3, and I smoked myself a blunt of video games. And I just gotta say that Link Between Worlds needs to be on something else. They need to put it on the Nintendo Switch. It is such a valuable tool for teaching. I'm not going to name names, but I have recommended this game to so many young people who are now, to use the Silicon Valley parlance, crushing it in the AAA video game industry. Like long ago, I'm like, you want to play a game that's going to show you the absolute best pound for pound meat and potatoes. It's real when a vegetarian uses the phrase meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes video game design, level design. The first dungeon of Link Between Worlds is just a full PhD's worth of level design experience. And I mean, the game just only goes on to be fun from there. So I've actually seen it is apparently a common opinion for people to say it's the worst Zelda game. Did you know this?
I did not.
That's ridiculous.
This is why Brandon Sheffield
I've
should
never
take
heard
note.
this before.
I mean, I accidentally stumbled into a career where I talk about video games for a living.
Yeah.
And I do fairly well at it. And I do, when it comes up, I say my favorite Zelda game is Landstalker, and, cue the laugh track. And then I go, no, really it is. And then, cue the crickets. And then I say, but if you wanted me to pick a real Zelda, I would say Link Between Worlds is pound for pound the most interesting. It is the most Sega Nintendo game ever made, if that makes any sense. Because it has a couple of these, it's like it got a loose barrel of snakes kind of design philosophy to it, right? Where it's you can do the dungeons in any order with any items, which you can only rent from the shop. It's got so many smart little weird concepts in there, and it runs at a blazing fast 60 FPS in 3D. And I will confess I turned the 3D off quite often in that game. I did not leave it on, but every time I turned it on, I was like, ooh, let's see what this screen looks like, and turn the 3D on and then go, yeah, and then turned it off. I would love a remake. I actually hated the look of it when I first saw screenshots. And then once I was playing the game, I was like, this is just the coolest looking game I've ever seen. It was it's got to be on the goddamn Switch, man.
I finally just bought it while you were talking.
You did? Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
It'll
yes.
be downloading now.
For the record, for anyone listening, I have kind of stopped recommending video games to Brandon Sheffield. I believe Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds is like the one video game I've actually like sincerely recommended to him in the last 10 years. So let's see what he thinks.
Let's see what I think.
It's the one video game I'm like, I bet you'd like this one. It's stupid as heck. I think you're going to like it.
I'm ready.
Turn the 3D on every time you enter a new dungeon and go, ooh, and then turn it off.
I only have a 2DS.
You ever played on 2DS? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
There's some 3D segments, but I think you're okay. I think
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, such a game.
We need to counterbalance this mainstream first-party Nintendo love. Who's got some games I've never heard of before?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to throw out the ones you've never heard of, but I feel like I should throw out a big one, which is like, you're not going to be able to play this otherwise, which is Gotta Protectors.
Yeah.
Gotta Protectors.
Yep.
Which is such a really good name.
So
the Japanese name is Mamora Naito.
Yeah, Protect Me Knight.
Which is Mamora Naito just means I must protect, but Naito means knight, so it's pretty good. It's like you're a knight who must protect. Very, very nice name.
The important thing you need to know about this version of God Protectors is, because you might be like, but there's a version of God Protectors on Switch. The thing is, the version of God Protectors on Switch is completely different. And it's nowhere near as deep. And in fact, I have to admit that I was super excited for it coming to Switch. I bought it the first day. Me and Vince and a few other people played it like the first day, and then we have never gone back to it because it just doesn't have the same hooks.
Didn't
because
recapture.
The
magic.
The 3DS one has like this whole sort of meta game of you collecting items and like upgrading your stats. It's basically, it's kind of like what if Monster Hunter was a sort of princess defense Famicom game that you play with 4 people. And the fact is that if I was, let's say I was going to go down to, Bay Area or something, have it with Brandon, I'd bring my 3DS with me just so we could play more of that game. Because I've like played all the levels and everything, but I would play it. I would not make a point of thinking we better play the Switch one together. There's just something different about it, and it's kind of a shame. So you got it. If there's one thing you're coming away from this from, other than I guess buying Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, get God Protectors on if you have a 3DS, you have to.
You gotta.
For sure. It's
a double gotta.
It's the good one. It's kind of like, you if anyone else had that experience of playing Left 4 Dead with your bros and you'd bros being a gender neutral term in this case, like you've played through all the levels already, but it's fun to do it together and have that, because the experience is a little different every time. And God Protectors is definitely that, and it's from Ancient. Give Yuzo Koshiro a little more money right before, because he's making a Genesis game right now. Fund his Genesis game by buying some
God
more God Protectors.
Get his 70% of that. $12.99, by the way, if you want that game. That's how much that costs if you want to purchase it now.
They could put it on discount too. I'm going to throw out, obviously, I love Devil Survivor. I've mentioned Devil Survivor a bunch of times. Devil Survivor is one of the games that influenced Demon School, which we're making right now. So there's Devil Survivor Overclocked on 3DS and Devil Survivor 2 as well.
Record Breaker. Yeah, I know these good games.
Those are good. I guess I would put specifically Devil Survivor Overclocked in my ranking somewhere. I'd rank that one.
I'd like to play these games on a TV as well.
I was also going to pitch a couple of strategy RPGs, one of which I think you might have been planning on mentioning, Brandon, which is Ghost Recon Shadow Wars.
You know it.
The Gollop, Julian Gollop, right? That's who's behind Ghost Recon, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's the original
XCOM fella.
The original XCOM guy, Laser Squad, a lot of classic PC strategy games, and this is his. I don't even know why Ubisoft made this, right? I guess they just had Tom Clancy's lying around as they do, and they were like, I don't know, make a strategy RPG with this, or he just somehow lucked into be able to make this friggin' game.
I do wonder how it happened. It sort of feels like, Yves Guillemot met Julian Gollop at a trade show and was like, "What are you doing?" And Gollop was like, "Nothing." And then Eve was like, "All right, well, you want to make a Tom Clancy?" And Gollop was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah,
it feels like that.
It's like Ubisoft Sofia as well, I think, that made it, right? So it's like even that's even stranger as well. But
Bulgaria.
All you really need to know is that if you like a classic action points strategy RPG thing, it's brilliant. It's just super good. Like, I don't remember anything about the plot or any of the Tom Clancy bullshit. All I remember is that there's like an amazing sniper character and you're straight sniping dudes using your action points, and it feels amazing.
Using the knife
good.
Is really good.
Using the knife is good too. Yeah.
You could try to just do a knife run and stuff if you're feeling like a weirdo. Yeah, this is like the Tom Clancy game in my mind, because I've never played more than a couple hours of any other ones. This one was like 100% all the way through. Well,
if you wanted to play another Tom Clancy game, let me say off the top of my head, them Splinter Cells, dude.
Yeah.
Some of them Splinter Cells are so legit.
Especially that one that had that lighting where it would project your objective onto the walls and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's so
Splinter
cool.
Cell. I forget which one that was.
Yeah, those games are like
Conviction, maybe.
They are pioneering.
Yeah.
A lot of AAA stuff we now take for granted. You can kind of see
for sure.
A lot of cool stuff in those.
To be clear, I like a lot of those games objectively, but they never grabbed me in terms of the way my gameplay brain likes to play games. But Shadow Wars for 100%.
Yeah, Shadow Wars is a cool game. Shadow Wars, it's also worth pointing out, is a launch game, isn't it?
I believe so.
I think it was.
Yeah. So this makes me think a good idea for an episode would be a best launch games of all time episode. Right? Like
get some Dreamcast games in there.
Oh yeah, the Dreamcast would be the hero because everybody loves Dreamcast launch games, dude.
Okay, I'm calling. We have 7 more minutes to put things on this list.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Crikey.
can I'm just going to throw the other strategy RPG out that I wanted to mention, though, because this is probably something you can still get for less than $10.
What is it?
Codename S.T.E.A.M.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The Intelligent Systems one?
Yeah, and here's the thing is, right, everyone complains that the enemy turns take too long, but they patched it like 2 weeks later, and you can just fast forward through them, and the game is like kind of like Valkyrie Chronicles, basically. The plot and stuff is stupid, but it's really, really good. Like, it's genuinely great, and if you can still pick up for $10, just do it. There's no point.
Yeah, I played that game.
Yeah.
I remember it getting, it's the makers of Fire Emblem making something kind of stupid. Wasn't Shigeru Miyamoto himself like actually involved in this one, which is weird. Unlike, the many games that he's like purportedly involved with. It's American history, Abraham Lincoln and whatnot, right? Very stupid video game in a way that it really feels like it really feels like a joke game. It doesn't feel like a real one, right? So it's I played that and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I remember all the critics. Were people just not primed to like cool stuff at that exact point in time? Probably. What about those Fire Emblems on 3DS? Do we like those?
Yeah, generally, more or less.
Yeah.
I'm not super into them, but I think generally they're
Fire Emblem
good.
Awakening, is that the one? That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I played all of those.
I like Shadows of Valentia a lot. I thought it was really excellent. Like, it's a remake of the second Fire Emblem game.
Mm-hmm.
It has some rough maps with slow movement and stuff in them, but characters are enjoyable. I found the plot pretty enjoyable. The little dungeon things are good. Like it solves a lot of the problems I have sometimes with strategy RPGs, where you just kind of get stuck in a battle where you can't like progress past by giving you a lot of like kind of options to do things, and just like building your parties was super fun in that in a way that I didn't find, for example, in some other Fire Emblem games. So I recommend that one, frankly.
I liked Awakenings. I liked Fates. I just Fire Emblems are just they're just a good time.
Yep.
I would say if your number one requirement of a strategy RPG is menu responsiveness, look no further than Fire Emblem Awakening. It has the most beautifully responsive menus and cursor movements of maybe any game on the entire 3DS, I would say. So check that out. If that's what you like, go for it. Thank you.
Who else has got a game, or are we good with this list?
I mean, what else is there?
There's
I've got one.
Ridge Racer 3D was also a launch game.
Oh, hilarious, yeah.
It's not the best Ridge Racer, but it sure is stuck on the 3DS, so I'm mentioning it.
So I've got one I really like. The Dragon Quest VII remake for 3DS. I think it has some of the most beautiful graphics. Like the graphical style. It came out shortly around the same time that the Dragon Quest VIII remake came out, and the Dragon Quest VIII remake just looks like buttholes. It doesn't look nearly as good. Everything looks really flat. There's not even any 3D in the 3DS Dragon Quest VIII remake, and it's a shame that that's locked on 3DS because they added some extra characters and scenarios and whatnot. But the Dragon Quest VII on 3DS has a delightful aesthetic, a delightful look to it. And the 3D is very wonderful. I would love a remake of that for the Nintendo Switch or for PC that, just guts the 3D out, I mean, lol. But, yeah, like it.
So there is Pocket Card Jockey, which I think is amazing, but they did put it out at Apple Arcade, so maybe that is gettable elsewhere now. Has anyone played that version of it?
Mm-hmm. A little bit of it.
Different?
I mean, that's the only version of it I've played, so.
Oh, so you haven't played the Apple Arcade version?
Yeah.
Well, if it's different, then you should get the 3DS version, because that version is definitely good. And I would, just because I think it's such an interesting, weird thing, I would definitely put Rusty's Real Deal Baseball on this list. Oh,
yeah. Rusty's Real Deal. You definitely want that one. That's a weird, stupid game.
And the problem with that one is you have to play it before the 27th all the way through to buy all the games, because they're all DLC. So if you buy that, if you buy the first version of it and don't play it, you can't get the games. So you basically, if you're listening to this show and you're like, I want to play that fucking Rusty Real Deal Baseball, you better buy it and start playing it this weekend. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
Yeah, get yourself through there.
And just haggle them all the way down, because the games end up costing like $10 in total, but initially he's trying to charge you like $6 each. Just haggle them. That's the point of the game.
That Rusty, man, that's a weird guy. Okay, so I want to specifically not put Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance on here.
That's the game that made me stop playing Kingdom Hearts.
I just want to throw out a bunch of games that I don't want to rank, but are just like weird, interesting games that you might look at that might be interesting or might not be interesting.
Yeah.
Just because, like, check these out, that kind of thing. Karos, aka Karasu, which is a mediocre 3DS sequel to the original mediocre Dreamcast arcade game. There's Fragrant Story, which I've mentioned on here before, which is a tactics RPG that is getting free updates. It's supposed to get one more update before the store closes. And that same person released a game called Otosan, which is looks like Mother and sounds like Mother, for $1 that just came out like this week. So check that out. Frank's Mega Man Legacy Collection is currently on sale. Take a look at that.
MMLC.
Last game that Frank worked on in a serious way. There a bunch of other ones. Bugs versus Tanks. I don't know. I like the title.
BBT.
That's as far as I get with it. Automaton Lung. People seem to like that. People also seem to like Herald's Walk and Herald Reborn, but they keep referencing like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff and how much they like it.
Don't like it.
So I haven't bought it yet. But Automaton Lung, that's one that people think is real weird and cool and neat. I don't know. Giving it a shot. Waku Waku Sweets, that's on sale right now. That's a cooking Gumama. Like the Japan Rail Sim series is on sale right now. GG series Assault Buster looks cool. Dementium Remastered. I wrote one cutscene in that, so there you go.
Just one.
But that was a that was a survival horror in like 2005. I did that. Legend of the Dark Witch series is kind of fun. Parascientific Escape games, some visual novels, is a contentious term, that are on there are all on sale as well. Punch Club is a Princess Maker-like, except for boxing and punching. Korg M01D, the Korg music.
The sequel to the DS one, yeah.
The sequel to the DS one is also on sale right now. Culdcept Revolt is a game that's there. Dragon Quest Wars is a DSiWare game you can buy. Tokyo Crash Mobs is Mitchell's last game, Mitchell of Puzzloop and Cannon Dancer, etc. Then there's Pushmo, Stretchmo, etc. There's the Fairune games that you can get on Switch as well, but you could also get them here. And man, there's a whole bunch of random stuff that I downloaded that I'm not even sure if I need to play. I won't get all into it, but those are some of the ones you could check out.
I would like to double up the Culdcept Revolt one.
Oh, sure.
I like that game. I like all the Culdcept games. At some point in the future, lots of people are going to wish they'd heard of it sooner.
I think that's
true. So
true.
if you want to get on the Culdcept bus, and you play the Saturn one, play the Xbox 360 one of my favorite games ever for some reason. Don't ask why. I don't know. I can tell you later.
We have exactly 21 games on our list. It's time to rank them.
Oh, that sounds fun.
We
Matthew,
can swap
did you have some other randos to put in, or
I'll mention a few things just very quickly, but
Bust them
not
through.
put them on the list.
yeah?
I'll bust through them, yeah. So 3D Classics wise, there's honorable mention for Kid Icarus because it's very improved sort of port. It looks a little weird, but it actually makes it playable. There's 3 Denpa Men games on the system, which is crazy to me that they made 3 of them. Weird game where you move your camera around to collect little wireless men and then dungeon delve with them. You should know that you can still get the art style DSi games, I think. Specifically,
Yes.
Box Life and Pickle Picked are the good ones, in my opinion. There are a ton of GG series games, which are super quick games made by, I don't know, some publisher in Japan, still available on DSi. Some of them are good.
Genterprise.
Yeah, Ninja Katakuri Den is probably the one I played the most and enjoyed a lot.
Cool game.
And then in terms of other games you can get, Fantasy Life was great. Pilot Wings Resort is much better than people would have you believe. And I didn't play it in great detail, but Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers is a very interesting sort of game about sort of being a furry, I guess, in Mad Max world.
Oh yeah, people love that one.
And there's a Runabout 3D, if you like PS2 racing game quality, called Crash City Mayhem. And of course, you can spend a lot of money buying a physical copy of Kid Icarus Uprising, or you can still buy it I think it's fairly cheap on the eShop. It's maybe $30.
It's $35. I just checked it yesterday and decided it was too much.
But compared to the $100 plus it will cost you physically,
Sure.
if you want that game, I do not think that will probably be ported unless
No.
So that one is the last one I would say probably make a point of getting, but I have not played it. I only bought it physically for $80 or something because I was like, fuck it.
People hated those controls, and to hear anyone talk about the controls, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna hate that.
About which game?
Kid Icarus.
Oh yeah, the one that Nintendo saw fit to release a stand for. I would like to just double up Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers, made by my friends at Van Pool.
Okay.
Yeah, people like that one.
They're not at Van Pool right now, I don't think, but they yeah, dude. Oh wait, they're still. Maybe some of them are still there.
We could
can
probably
cut
put
one.
Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers up instead of one of the Etrians. We got too many
Yeah,
Etrians.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take
Etrians.
knock off Etrian 5. Etrian 4 needs to stay on there because it has maybe the best video game soundtrack of all time. Can we just say best video game soundtrack on the 3DS is Etrian Odyssey IV? Thank you very much, Yuzo.
I don't know. I would have to argue.
Oh, really?
SMT4 is my favorite.
That is a good soundtrack as
So
well,
it's
but
hard
it's
for
not
me.
Yuzo. It's not Yuzo.
It's not.
So
It's used now.
we'll just go ahead and say God of Protectors is the best one then.
Sure.
Because why not? I don't know.
We can do that.
SMT4, brilliant soundtrack, beautiful soundtrack.
Okay, let's do some ranking.
Yeah. Boy, how do we do it?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the first 2 games that we nominated. Shin Megami Tensei 4, Sega 3D Classic Collection. Which is better?
I think that.
Classic Collection.
Oh,
No.
SMT4.
SMT4.
SMT4 wins.
Okay.
Attack of the Friday Monsters. Where do we put that?
Top.
Play the lightning round music at this point, Esper.
Oh yeah, this is the lightning round.
Yeah.
Top.
I think top's okay.
Yeah, Friday Monsters at top. Yeah, sure, go for
I
it.
like that.
Kill me,
Etrian
bro.
Odyssey 4.
Bottom.
Oh, there's still Etrian Odyssey Nexus to get through, so I would say 4th, and then Nexus is below that.
Yep.
Etrian Odyssey Nexus, number 5. Picross, the general concept.
Just put it at the bottom.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. We're still it's still in the top 21. That's all I care about.
It's got to be over Sega 3D classics or under.
Yeah, Super Mario 3D Land.
Just underneath 3D classics?
I'm okay.
Just underneath 3D classics? Yeah, why not? Kill me, bro.
Brandon?
Kill me, bro.
I didn't play it.
Okay.
The end.
A Link Between Worlds.
If you don't have Super Mario 3D Land, Brandon, it's maybe a fun one to play.
I'll check it out.
I would recommend that one.
All right.
I would also recommend it to Esper Quinn, who has never played a Mario game. Start with that one.
Interesting. Yeah, that's probably just the one. Just play that one and then forget about the rest. It's a very good game. It kind of makes me think maybe we all went in the wrong direction, wanting all of our 3D games to have controllable cameras.
Oops.
Maybe that was the wrong idea. Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. Where'd that one go?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You never played it?
I didn't play it.
I own it, but I did not get around to it.
It's hecka sweet, man. It's hecka sweet.
I don't know if I'd put it at the top, but I'd put it near the top.
I tell you what, there's
from-
no way I'm gonna like anything more than SMT4. So it would be
So just put it under SMT4 then.
below that for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
if you
okay with
want to
that.
leave it under SMT4 and then leave SMT4 up at number 2,
Yeah.
I think that's probably pretty good.
Okay.
God of Protectors.
Yeah.
Oh,
Underneath Friday Monsters?
I mean, I don't know.
I'd put it underneath SMT4.
Of course you would, but I think you should go above it.
I'd put it underneath Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, to be honest.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I mean, Link Between Worlds is so good, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
But also, it is the number one game on my list so far of 3DS games that need to be remade. So who knows?
Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Survivor Overclocked.
Overclock me, bro.
Above the Etrians or below them?
I mean, if for me, it's probably number 3, but it doesn't need to be number 3. And it is sort of a remake, so
I'd say above Etrian 4.
that's fine.
Why not?
Okay. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Shadow Wars.
Thomas.
I really like this one.
Yeah, it's a hot one.
I like this being on the list.
Yeah, it's a weird game.
Underneath God Protectors or above God Protectors?
I think
Putting it above would be very funny.
I'm going to put it above, and the reason I will say that is because there are other God of Protectors that are good, like the 361.
True.
There's only one Ghost Recon Shadow Wars. They never made another.
I like
That's
this.
true. Maybe they will someday, though.
Codename S.T.E.A.M.
I think that's okay at the bottom.
I wouldn't put it beneath the Etrians, or if I don't put beneath
Or you want to put it
Overclocked,
above Picross?
but I'd put it above Picross. It is
Yeah.
very good.
All right.
Yeah, it's a heck of a thing, I would say. So we got 3 Fire Emblems now: Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, Awakening, and Fates.
Oh, I don't know if we need all those Fire Emblems on here.
Yeah, do we want to just put one Fire Emblem on
Yeah, we
here?
might just nominate one Fire Emblem.
Yeah, let's just do one of them.
Shadows of Valentia.
Well,
Sure.
to me that's my favorite one. So
Yeah, that's a heck of a cool game.
I'm happy doing that one.
I'm a big fan of the art style. in that
underneath
game.
3D Land, I would put it probably.
Underneath 3D Land.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't. To me, I would put it under Devil Survivor because those are 2 tactics games, and I love Devil Survivor a lot more than I love Fire Emblem. So it would have to go one below that.
That's fine.
Yeah. Ridge Racer 3D.
Ridge Racer. It can go near the bottom.
Near the bottom.
Yeah.
I would put it beneath Picross actually, because I'm pretty
Sure.
sure
Yeah.
3D is basically the same as 5.
It's not
Yeah.
the same as, but it's
It's pretty
it's close-ish.
Also, it kind of sucks. I mean, it's,
Dragon
it's-
Quest 7.
Dragon Quest VII. I mean, I'm an idiot. This is for the record, my number 1 most played 3DS game. I logged around 220 hours in it, so this is just my number 1.
But you can play it elsewhere, right? Does anything stand out about
No,
it for 3DS?
it's a complete remake. Dragon Quest VII has a job system in it where you can change your characters as jobs. You don't get the job system until about 20 hours into the game, but once you get the job system, you can change your characters' jobs and you can level up their jobs individually. And on the original PlayStation version, you don't see your characters during battle. You just see from a first-person view, as in the old Dragon Quest. In the 3DS one, you actually see your characters, and they also change their outfits to match their jobs. And there's like a dozen. There's like a couple dozen jobs. It's a very thorough, like lavishly thorough remake of Dragon Quest VII. Like lavishly thorough, marvelous.
And I guess it's not available anywhere else. The iOS one is different.
Yeah, I would personally put it under Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked is where I would want to put it. But that's
cool.
just me.
That's fine.
That's just me.
It's a Dragon Quest.
Since we got more room, should we put Kokuga back on the list?
I would say please put Kokuga back on there because
Yes.
Kokuga is also on my little list that I'm making over here
let's
of
do
games
it.
that.
Yeah, where are we putting Kokuga?
Kokuga is, for the record, the most recent work of Hiroshi Yuichi, the creator of the designer of Ikaruga. It's his most recent released game. He's working on one right now. That should be fun.
I'd put it above 3D Classics, below God of Protectors. That's where I would put it.
Oh heck yeah, I'd put it there.
All
I'm
right.
happy with that.
It is a perfect action game. If you ever needed one of those, steal it at your earliest convenience.
Reminds me a lot of Granada on the Genesis.
Yeah.
All right, Jockey Card Pocky.
That can go low because I'm sure the iOS version is pretty much the same above
Yeah.
Picross.
Certainly above Ridge Racer.
I would put it below Picross.
I'm all about Pocket Jockey.
I didn't like it.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
You're putting it above Ridge 3D, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
good. Funny game, good joke, and some fun stuff.
This one is
Yeah.
just above Picross for me, but I do want it above Picross.
All right.
Yeah, I'd put it above Picross.
Yeah.
I'd
All
put
right.
Culdcept Revolt above Picross, but below Rusty's as well.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean,
Everyone fine with that?
Culdcept
with it.
games are beautiful treasures that we should
You
all
could bump it up higher if you want to.
cherish the beautiful treasure of Culdcept, a game that so beautifully merges tactics and board games and RPG and roguelike and it just merges all of these beautiful little design what ifs into just this tasty little game.
You know, since we did this collectively rather than draft style, I'm okay with this list being 20 games, so let's...
No, I have one more.
Okay,
I have one more.
All right.
One more game.
Then let's do Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers first, and then we'll discuss your one more.
Well, Dillon's
yeah.
Dead Heat is made by my friends at Vanpool, which includes Lovedillick people who worked on all your favorite little games about walking around a town and dying for reasons you don't understand. It's by no means the only one of those you could play, but there really aren't that many of them you can play, and I'm one of them. And
Yeah. And it's on
It's got
here.
like cool like being in a town stuff in it. Like your
Yeah.
knee gets turned into an animal and shit like that. It's pretty cool. Like I don't know where I'd put it on the list because I haven't played it anywhere near enough.
it's the only one on this list that I'm looking at off the top of my head. No offense to Attack of the Friday Monsters. It's the only one that actually kind of feels like culture. It kind of feels like having like something you might see in the MoMA. Like it's the only one that I can think of that's like that. No offense to some of my favorite games on here.
Top of the list, then?
I don't know about
No,
top of the
I
list.
can't.
No.
I can't go.
That
Can't go
doesn't-
to the top because I can't.
That's not what
go
we're
to the
here
bat
for.
it. But I put it under Shadow Wars. Just why not?
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's too. I think that's quite high. I was gonna say under Dragon Quest.
Sure. Well, I'm also fine with that. I don't have enough of an opinion on it other than think that I think it's pretty cool so far. But I have
Yeah.
heard it gets a bit repetitive.
All right, I like that.
Oh, it gets very repetitive. Yeah. It's
Brandon,
actually
did you have
not
one more-
very fun at all. So
Did you have one more game, Brandon?
I do. I didn't mention it before because I wasn't sure which one to do, but let's just say the Persona Q series
yeah, love
in
'em.
general,
Love 'em.
because those
Jesus
guys.
Christ, Brandon, are you married to Atlas?
Data burst.
Atlas really did dominate this platform. Aside from Nintendo, Atlas was just all over the 3DS.
I'm gonna
for
be
some
honest. I wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
I wish they just put stuff on PC, man.
reason. Just put it on a regular
Do what?
thing.
They wish they would have been like Falcom and just been making stupid games for PC at
I
that
agree.
time, because we would be able to play them now very easily.
If you don't know about the Persona Q games, they are like dungeon crawling Persona games that take the characters from various other Persona games and mash them together in a story. So
Yeah.
like the first one is I think like 3 and 4, and then Q2 is I think 5 and Strange Journey or something. But it just mashes together a bunch of characters into new situations as the Phantom Thieves or whatever, and it's neat.
Yeah. Persona Q is 3 and 4. Persona Q2 is 3, 4, and 5.
Okay,
it's worth pointing out that the name of Etrian Odyssey in Japanese is Sekaiju no Meikyu, or Meikyu means labyrinth. Meikyu, right?
Yeah,
the Japanese name for Etrian Odyssey is Yggdrasil Labyrinth, or Labyrinth of the World Tree, literally. I think Yggdrasil Labyrinth is a cooler name than Etrian Odyssey, to be honest. So the Q is the same Q.
Yeah, the Labyrinth Q.
Yeah, so that's Q just means is shorthand in Atlas speak for labyrinth. So it's basically Persona Etrian Odyssey, Smash Bros. It's a Smash Bros of Persona in an Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I'd put it below the Etrians.
That makes sense.
I would put it lower than Codename Steam and Russ's Real Deal. I do not like the Persona Q series.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
I don't care. I just feel like it
should be on there.
It should be on
so
there.
So where is it relative to Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers? I'm now starting to break a sweat about Dillon's Dead Heat Breakers.
It's much further below.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have our list, and you can check it out on the Insert Credit community and on the Patreon.
My recommendation for everyone this week is to go to girlgodlive.com, which is my friends April Clark and Grace Freud's website. I said their names alphabetically. It's not to denote my preference of one over the other. They're stand-up comedians of a sort, and I am opening for them. You can see me do 15 minutes or more of stand-up comedy, guaranteed at least 15 minutes.
Goodness.
March 15th in Nashville, Tennessee, March 16th in Detroit, Michigan, March 18th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You can see me. I'll be there. Don't kill me. Don't shoot me. They're no guns venues, but I'm there. I'm allowed to have my gun. You can't have you can't have yours, right?
Very good.
Why not, right?
Speaking of those things, I have some announcements I'd like to make. Most specifically, a call to action. If you enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, please rate and review our show wherever and however you can. You can also support us on patreon.com/insertcredit, where you could become a patron to submit your own questions, listen to monthly bonus episodes, and keep our editor in Magic the Gathering booster pack money. You could also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find a video of this episode and others on YouTube. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with original music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And I was Mathew Kumar.
And you gotta get a gotta.
Gotta get a gotta. Dem gotta protect us.